Okay. Good morning. Online, can you hear me? Those who are participating. So you are going to start the session. Can you hear me, students? Those who are joining online. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning. You can hear, sir. Continue.
Okay, right. Okay. We are going to start the session. Good morning. Now, the last day we talked about the macroeconomic equilibrium, right? So in the equilibrium calculations, right? Basically, we talk about the Keynesian model, right? So as we discussed in the last week, you may remember we talk about the Keynesian model from the simple model to the three-sector model, no? Right? So they are actually in each model, when we are discussing the simple model, we identify the equilibrium situation. So we derive equilibrium equation, no? Right? So taking into account the different components in that model. And we identified the multipliers, very important thing, no? Explained by the Keynes. So the Keynesian multiplier. And in the three-sector model, with the government also we discussed, right? And the equilibrium. And they are actually, we incorporate the different tax functions, no? Right? And we see there the differences arise with the involvement of the tax function, no? Right? To the multiplier. Okay. So multipliers take different forms. If there's a lump sum tax case, right? So there's no difference between the multiplier and simple economy and the three-sector model with the government sector. But if there is a proportionate tax, so the combined tax, right? So we noted there actually since the tax is varying with the variation of the income, so there is an impact on the multiplier as well, right? So please note it, and then we discuss important concept there, the balance budget multiplier. We derive the balance budget multiplier, and that is the situation where the government can use the policies, no, mixed policies, tax policy and the expenditure policy, no, at the same time, right? So the impact is there is no zero impact on the budget, no, right? Keeping the balance budget, government can raise the revenue, no, raise the income, right? So if the government raise taxes and then expenditure at the same amount, right? Because this expenditure is going to be financed by raising taxes. So as a result of that, we know that there is no impact on the budget, but the national income increased by the amount of increase in government expenditure. They are actually derive the balanced budget multiplier, right? So that also we discussed and graphical explanations. Tax multiplier, right? And then today actually we need to talk about the open economy model, right? Now we so far we talk about the closed economy, right? So if we open up the economy, right? Open economy model, right? They are basically the open economy model, right? Open economy model, right? So in the earlier case, we identified the closed economy, aggregate demand equal Y equal C plus I plus G, no? Right, with the government sector. With the opening of the economy, we need to add the exports and the imports, no? Right. Export we add because there is a positive impact on national income, no? Because why? The export is an injection, no? Right. When there is a export, that means the production increase, no? Right. And we are exporting goods for the rest of the nations, right? So the country can earn foreign exchange, no? Right? There will be a positive impact on national income. So the export become positive, right? Export become positive. If there is a rise in the export, there will be increase in aggregate demand and the income. But in case of imports, denoted as M here, right? There is a negative impact on aggregate demand or income, right? All these are expenditure items, no? C plus I plus D, X minus F, no? Right? So this is the aggregate demand, no? Right? So demand side explanation, Keynesian theory, no? Right? Import has a negative impact. If there is a rise in the import, so there will be a negative impact on income, right? So because we know that if one side it is a withdrawal from the model, no? Right? Import is a withdrawal, right? Higher imports mean it discourages the local production, no? Right? Because it discourages the local production. Discourage local production, no? Right? Discourage local production. Because the other thing is when there is a imports, right? Imports dominate the market, no? Right? People, their consumption, they shift from local goods to imported goods, no? Right? So import become the dominant. So as a result of that, it discourages the local production and income reduced. And also the higher import means our outflows encourage, no? Right? Foreign exchange outflows, no? From our resources flows to the other nation, no? Right? Exchange flows, right? So therefore, we see there is a negative impact, higher imports on income, right? So therefore, we add the export and we deduct the imports. Simply, we can write it as net export, no NX. We add net export if the export is higher than the imports. If imports are higher than the export, we deduct, no, right, from this explanation, no, right? So since that become negative, no, right? So anyway, now this is the open economy. So what is the difference between the open economy? Oh, this is open economy, right? Why we say it's an open economy? So generally now you heard two words, no, market economy and the right? Market economy and open economy. So what is the difference? What is the difference between market economy and open economy? Yes. Market means market forces operate, no, price mechanism, no, right? Demand and supply forces. Allocate according to the demand and supply forces, resource allocation occurred in different markets, no? Goods market, factor market, no, right? Foreign exchange market, so, right? So that's the market economy. Because without any government intervention, there is a pure forces operate, no, right? Free market, no, right? So that means market forces operate, no. So that is called market economy, demand and supply forces, no, right? Right? Without any government intervention, no. Market economy, free market means market forces operate. So those are the invisible hands we identified, no, right? Demand and supply forces without any government interventions, right? And resource allocations done according to the market forces, no, right? And when it comes to the open economy, so that is more complicated, no, right? Compared with the market economics, open economy is a broader concept, no, right? It's a broader concept than the market economy, no. In open economy, what you can see, market also there, right? Market forces also there, right? Free market, no, right? Free trade, no, right? Free market, all these things operate. market forces also there, right? So it is characterized as market economy. No? Apart from that, there is a international trade, no, right? Basically, free trade, no, right? IT. IT means international trade, no, right? Right? So that is the important thing, no, right? Trade, free flows. So without any government restrictions, no, right? Trade take place between the nations, no, right? Without any restrictions, no, right? In a market, in open economy, right? And the other one is in open economy, we see free capital flows, no? Free capital flows. Free capital flows. Free capital flows means foreign exchange, foreign FDI, no? Basically FDI and the portfolio investments, no? Most importantly, we talk about the FDI, no? Foreign direct investments, no? Right? Foreign direct investment, inflows and the outflows, no? Right? Free capital flows. These are the two important aspects that we look at in the open economy one. So in open economy situations, we see the international trade encouraged, no? Without any government intervention. In the market forces, no? Right? And free capital flows of the. There is no restriction on capital flows and the outflows. So in the open economy, in other words, this is the current account basically. International trade that explains the BOP. So there is a current account. So that is liberal. And the free capital flows mean capital accounts, no? In the balance of payment. That also liberalized, no? Right? So there's no restrictions in the current account and the capital account, no? Right? So that there we see the important aspects of the open economy with these two features. Apart from that, we can say the other things, migrations, no? Right? Migrations, no? Right? And in a free market, we see the technological adoptions, right? Adoptions, right? Mass communications and the technology. All these things we see in the open economy model, right? So with the technology also adapted because other nations open to the other nations, right? So especially that also encourage to the trade and the capital flows. So technology also coming as a with that, right? So therefore all these things are interrelated, right? So in open economy, we see that's a more broader concept than the market economy. There's a difference, no? Right? The market economy we identified on the market forces, demand and supply forces without any government, and the resource allocations took place accordingly, no? Right? With Pareto efficiency, no? Right? But when it comes to the open economy model, we identified apart from the market economy, there's free trade and the free capital flows. And the intercountry migrations also allowed, no, right? And technology transfers also took place without any restrictions, right? Right. Okay, right. Now we talk about this open economy model, right? So we have open economy Y equal C plus I plus G plus X minus N, right? Now we know that consumption depends on the income, right? Investment depends on the interest rate. Government expenditure is that also does not depends on the income. That also exogenous. Here the export also we assume exogenous variable, and the imports depends on the income, right? So imports also depends on the income, right? Now we know our model, our consumption function we can write as the BYD with the government, right? The open economy. Investment is IR or IBAR, we can write it, no, right? You can take it without interest rate, no problem, right? And the government expenditure is that also exogenous, cheaper, autonomous, no, right? And the exports here also we take it even though export depends on number of factors, no, right? Here we assume it's exogenous, right? It's a lump sum, right? But import function, M. Now we need to identify the import function. We can write it as M0 plus My, simple My, right? Or you can use any notation. Problem U plus Vy or something, right? Any notation you can use, right? But this is our import function, no, right? So our tax we can take different forms. Now initially we assume autonomous tax, right? So our tax function, let's say we assume autonomous tax, right? T bar, right? Lump sum tax. Now this is our import function. So there is a certain assumptions when we are developing the import function. What are those assumptions? Assumptions. So the import, what type of imports we are importing from the rest of the nations? We are importing different goods, no? Right? If you go to the central bank annual report and see the composition of the imports, what you can observe there. Yes, what you can observe. Import comprises mainly coming from three areas. So we import the consumption goods, no, essential goods, no, right? And the intermediate goods, no, right? Intermediate goods. But again, and the capital goods, no, right? Capital goods. No? So we import different type of goods, no, right? These are very important. Intermediate goods, petrol, no, fertilizer, no, intermediate, right? Consumption goods, most essential stuffs we import from the rest of the nation, no, right? They never necessary, no, and other consumption items, even, no, and the capital goods, no, right? Drugs and about, no, right? Machinery, equipment, right? So these are very important, no, right? Consumption means we can actually cut down and we can depends on our own consumption, our own products or something. But intermediate products, we don't have the petroleum, no, right? Crude oil, right? We import, no, right? And apart from that, we import fertilizer, no, right? So those are the intermediate products, no, right? And capital goods, right? So, but here in our import function, right? So we assume import mainly comprises consumption goods, not other goods, right? We are importing mean not the intermediate or the capital goods. So import comprises consumption goods or essential goods. Comprises import represent the import of consumer goods, right? That means comprises the consumer product, consumer goods, right? Consumer goods, no, right? Or the essential goods, no, right? Import means it represents the import of essential goods, right? And the import depends on number of factors. No? Here also there is an assumption. We assume import depends on income, no, right? Imports mainly depends on income. Other factors remaining constant. So what are the other factors that determine imports? Maybe the exchange rate, price level, interest rate, no, right? Those things we assume constant, right? Import mainly depends on the import as a function of income, right? So when there is a rise in the income, what happens? Imports also increase, no, right? Because when our income level increase, people go to the very sophisticated products, no, right? Right. So the different goods to maybe the other what you call inferior goods to the normal goods or the luxury goods like that way. Right? So that means when our income increase, imports increase. That's why here import function is positive, no, right? Import has a positive impact. Higher the income, higher the imports, no, right? So we assume import depends on the income, other factors remaining constant, right? Price level, exchange rate, interest rate remaining constant, right? So here, when there is a rise in the income, imports increase, right? But when imports increase, it discourages in our function, total function, it discourages things, right? Okay. But in individual function, we know we take the consumption goods imports, right? So people, when their income level increase, they are moving from normal goods to luxury goods and so on, no, right? And other stuffs, right? So when income increase, imports also increase, right? Right. So now we can take our model, right? So equilibrium, how we derive the equilibrium? Equilibrium income, right? Equilibrium national income. So we assume earlier model, right? Consumption is A plus B by D. Investment is autonomous. Export is autonomous. Tax, lump sum tax, right? As we written earlier, right? And the export also autonomous. Government expenditure also autonomous. So Y equals C plus I plus G plus X minus X, right? So apart from the other things, consumption, investment, government expenditure, export here we assume X bar, right? And the imports function depends on M0 plus simple M1. Tax here we assume the lump sum tax for the time being, right? So if you substitute the things, right, consumption is A plus BYD, no? Or we can directly write YD means BY, D means, sorry, E, Y, D means Y minus T, right? Plus I bar plus T bar plus X bar minus import function we can write plus My, right? So if you have the numerical values, right? First you need to draw the equation, right? Model and identify the model variables, right? And substitute those things, then you can find the equilibrium, right? Then you need to simplify this. Y equal A plus, we remove the brackets, By minus Bt plus I bar plus G bar, no? X bar minus M0 minus My, simple My, no? Right? So it means that is autonomous imports, no? Right? Simple M means what is it? Marginal propensity to imports, right? I forgot to mention it, no? Right? In import function, right? We have the M0 plus My. This M0 means autonomous part, right? Autonomous imports, right? Autonomous imports, right? Simple M means that is called marginal propensity to imports, no? Right? Ayata. Then we have no, sir. Ayata. Ayata, then we have marginal propensity to imports. So that means when income increase, how much imports change, no? Right? How much import change due to change in the income is explained by the marginal propensity to imports, no? Right? Right. So normally that is the multiply effect is there. No, when income increase, there will be a multiply effect, no? Right? With this number, right? With this coefficient, right? So that is our import, right? My, M0 minus My. So then you can, now we are going to derive the equilibrium income. You take Y to this side, that side, Y minus Dy plus My. equals A minus dt plus I plus G plus X minus M0. Right? Now Y is common. 1 minus D plus simple M. These right hand side variables, we call it as autonomous expenditures, right? All these expenditure are autonomous, no? Right? Tax, autonomous tax, imports, lump sum tax, our expenditures, exports, imports, autonomous, no? Right? So A, that is also autonomous. So equilibrium equation, we can write it as 1 over 1 minus B plus simple M, right? Into autonomous expenditure. A means autonomous expenditure. All the right hand side variable. All these variables are exogenous, no, right? Autonomous, no, does not depend on the income, no, its own, no, right? So this is our equilibrium income equation, no, right? So this is open economy equilibrium, no, right? With the export and imports. Here is the open economy. To denote the open economy, we add only the export and imports, no, right? We didn't take into account those capital flows and so on, right? Right? So that will be analyzed in a separately in a different aspect, right? If you when it comes to the ISLM model, there is an open economy ISLM model. So that will be analyzed, right? Under this model, in the Keynesian income determination model, here the open economy denotes export and the import. We take it on trade aspects only, right? Not the capital flows, right? But that will be arranged in the later on when we extend this model further in the latter part, right? But we are not supposed to discuss all these things, right? Now here also what you can see in this equilibrium equation in the open economy. So there are set of import variables, no, right? Tax is there, imports there, investment there, government expenditure there. All the tax functions, sorry, all these variables represent the multiplier effect we can identify, no? Tax multiplier, investment multiplier, government expenditure multiplier, export multiplier, import multiplier, no? All these multiplier. That is commonly, we can identify this without tax, no, right? If we take the investment multiplier, this is called autonomous expenditure multiplier, no, right? Autonomous expenditure multiplier. With respect to these right hand side variables, no, autonomous expenditure, there will be on national income, no, as identified by the multiplier, no, right? So that is the multiplier, right? So it's positive, no, right? Now that multiplier explain 1 over 1 minus D plus M. So that is the open economy multiplier, no, right? Open economy multiplier. So you may remember the same model variables we derived the multiplier for the closed economy. What is that? Can you remember? Last day. So that is with the same these model variables, no? With the lump sum tax, right? We derive the multiplier for the closed economy. So that is 1 over 1 minus D, no? Right? In the closed economy is the lump sum tax, right? But here the open economy with the lump sum tax, 1 over 1. That is the open economy multiplier, right? So there is a multiplier effect. So we can identify the tax multiplier is negative, no, right? That is minus D over 1 minus B plus A, no, right? You can derive the tax multiplier, no, right? Like we did in the last time. First equation, second equation with the changes, and then simplifying those two equations, you can identify the multiplier. So tax multiplier is now negative. It's minus B over 1 minus B plus A, right? Investment multiplier is same. 1 over 1 minus B plus A, right? Government expenditure multiplier also same. 1 over 1 minus B plus A, positive. Export multiplier also same. 1 over 1 minus B plus A. But import multiplier is negative, no, right? If you take the negative, right? If we assume the import change by delta M portion, right? Taking the, if that change, we can take the income change and we can derive the two equations and simplify those equations. You can import multiply. That is minus 1 over 1 minus b plus h, no, right? Okay. So you can derive all these multipliers. Now the investment multiplier, government expenditure multiplier, export multiplier is positive. Tax multiplier and the import multiplier is negative, no, right? So the tax multiplier is minus b over 1 plus 1 minus b plus h, no? Import multiplier means minus 1 over 1 minus b plus h, right? So let's see how you derive those things, right? So commonly we denote it as this is the open economy multiplier. Now you can compare the open economy multiplier and the closed economy multiplier. We derive with same model variable. Multiplier, commonly we denote it as K, right? Autonomous expenditure multiplier, right? So what is the difference? In the closed economy, you may, in the last time, 1 minus 3, no? Multiply is 1 over 1 minus 3, no? Right? Open economy, now we derive with the same variables, model variables with the lump sum type, 1 minus d plus n, no? Right? So which one is powerful? Which multiplier is powerful? Open economy or closed economy? Now you can just see now, if B is 0.8, no, right? Marginal propensity to import is 0.8. Simple M means 0.1, right? Propensity to import, no, right? So now you can see 1 over 0.2, that is 5, no, right? Here, how much? 1 minus B 0.2 plus 0.3, no, right? 1 over 0.3. 3.3 something, no? Yes, right? So the closed economy multiplier is more powerful, no, right? Closed economy multiplier is more powerful than the open economy multiplier. So the why is that? Closed economy multiplier is more powerful than the open economy. So we need to think, right? So why with that? Open economy means, sorry, closed economy means there is no rest transaction with the rest of the nations, no, right? There is no imports and exports, right? The closed economy, we see the transaction took place by the household firms and the government, no, right? But when it comes to the open economy, right? So it's open to the rest of the nations, no, right? Transactions. So we are exporting, importing, no, right? We export and we import goods from other nations, no, right? So there actually we see now that we need to be explained using the multiplier, no, right? The process, no, right? Now if you take the open economy, right? Sorry, you take the closed economy, right? Closed economy, right? Suppose there is an increase in investment, no, right? If there is a rise in the private investment, what happened? What happened? So you need to take the other variables in the model. So part of aggregate demand increase, no? Because you know that aggregate demand equals C plus I plus T, no? Right? When investment increase, aggregate demand increase. When aggregate demand increase, what happened? Income increase, no, right? Because aggregate demand equals aggregate expenditure equal according to the Keynesian explanation, right? So you know that equilibrium we derived, no, right? Injections equal withdrawal, aggregate demand equal aggregate expenditure equal income, no, right? All these are equal, no, right? When income increase, what happened? So that is the multiplier, no, right? Direct effects, and there is a series of indirect effects coming from the consumption function, no? Consumption increase, no, right? When income increase, consumption increase, because consumption is a function of income or disposable income, no, right? So when income increase, again aggregate demand increase, right? Because again consumption is a part of aggregate demand, no? Most important part, dominant part, no? When there is a rise in the consumption, aggregate demand also increase at a faster rate, no, right? Because from our income we allocate significant portion for the consumption, no, right? So this will happen, no? Again income increase, no? Likewise, no, right? This will happen, no? Direct effects and the, so this is we identified as the direct effects. First effect from income, investment, aggregate demand income, no, that is the direct. Then there is a series of indirect effects generated through the consumption function, no, right? So that explains the multiplier effect for total, no, right? See that what happened when if there is a rise in the private investment, income increase, no, all the time you see rise, no, right? All the time you see upward arrows, no, right? There will be a positive impact on income, right? But if you compare with the open economy, what happened? Now here we see more powerful effects, no, right? Without any comparison, no, right? Since there is a rise in the investment, no, right? Or even government expenditure, no, right? Or exports, well, no, same thing happen, no, right? Right? So all the time there we see a improvement in the variables, right? Rise in the expenditure items, no, right? So there will be a positive impact. When you come to the open economy, if there is a rise in the investment, right, in the open economy model, same as that will increase the aggregate demand, right, and income, no, right? Okay. So then consumption increase, no, right? And aggregate demand increase and income increase, no, right? That will happen, no, right? Right? That process is going, no, right? Because when the investment increase, aggregate demand, income, consumption. But another process started from here, no? When income increase, what happened? Imports. Imports also increase, no, right? Because import is a function of income. Imports depends on income, we assume, no, right? When the income level increase, people tend to increase demand for the imported goods, no? Sometimes if there is higher, people rely on imported goods, no, right? With their the lifestyle cycle, right? Life pattern, right? So there sometimes the imports become dominant, right? So import increase, when there is a rise in the imports, what happens? That will reduce the aggregate demand and income. Because import has a negative impact on national income, no, right? Y equals C plus I plus G, X minus N, no, right? As we discussed. High import means it discourages local production, no, right? And income, no? Other thing is more outflows, no? Foreign exchange outflows. So that reduces the income. Sorry, now here aggregate demand reduce, income reduce, no, right? Because it's a part of aggregate demand, no? Higher imports, negative impact, no, on income. So here we see the positive impact also there, but opposite way there is a negative impact also generated through the import function, no, right? So that means this effect is less powerful compared with the closed economic model, right? In the closed economic model, all the times there will be expansionary effect, you know, right? But here in a closed open economic model, apart from this expansionary effect that generates contractionary effect on income due to higher imports with the encouragement of the imports in the open economy model, right? Right. So therefore, we see closed economy multiplier is more open economy multiplier. Okay. Now you must be able to link these variables, right? So if there is any exogenous variable change, how when the government expenditure increase, what happens? You must be able to explain, right? It's a part of the implement according to Keynesian model framework, right? You need to confine to that model framework, right? Okay. When you explain the things. Okay. Is it clear? Right. So that is the open economy, right? Now, if you take the model with the other form, right? C plus I plus E x minus M, right? Earlier we take the consumption as it is, imports, investment as it is, export also exogenous, imports function we take M0 plus My. Now let's take tax function, proportionate tax. Simple T1. Simple T is the tax rate. Let's say 20% tax, 10% tax, like that. No? With the income, it varies, no, right? Now the tax function is not lump sum tax, not autonomous tax, proportionate tax, no, right? Vary with the income, right? What is the equilibrium? So you can derive the equilibrium y equal equilibrium equation a plus b yd means y. We put this y minus t means y minus ty, right? Tax function ty, you know, right? yd means y minus ty plus I plus t plus x minus m0 plus my, right? You need to use the brackets correct way, right? Otherwise, you have to enter it wrong, right? You need to remove the brackets minus dty plus I plus e plus x minus m minus my, right? Okay. You take the y to this side minus dy plus dty plus my. Okay. So then all the right hand side variables plus I plus e plus x minus m. Those are the autonomous expenditure. Here y is common. 1 minus d plus dt plus m, right? Equals autonomous expenditure. So this is equilibrium equation, right? In that model, 1 minus d plus dt plus m into autonomous expenditure, right? So that is equilibrium income equation, right? Okay. So the model variables we change with the proportionate tax, right? So you can think about with the combined tax, right? Another autonomous part added to here, no? There's combined tax, no? Right? Now this is the autonomous expenditure multiplier, no? Right? In this model, right? Okay. Right? So autonomous expenditure multiplier is changed, 1 minus d plus dt plus n, no? Right? So that is different from the previous one, right? So with the model variables change, no, right? You know that multiply also going to be changed, no, right? Here with the proportionate tax, no, right? Multiply is this, no? You can see the tax multiplier minus b, 1 minus b plus dt plus n. Expenditure multiplier and the government export multiplier same, 1 over 1 minus b plus dt. Import multiplier is minus 1 over 1 minus b plus n, no, right? Okay. Open economy one, right? Right. Is it clear? Okay. Just you need to, if you know the model value, you can derive the multiplier and see. Right. Okay, right. Now you can look at now this is the so our model, right? So we assume the one case, right? Now we have small example, right? Now you have given a model, right? So the consumption is 20 plus 0.6 YD, right? Private investment is 200, right? Government expenditure is 100. Tax, here simple tax function, no, right? Autonomous tax. Export 80, imports 40 plus 0.2 Y. YD is the disposable income, right? So what is the aggregate demand function of this? This is open economy, export and imports there, right? So you need to think about which model, no? Post economy or open economy. See that export and imports, this is the open economy one, right? So now you need to find out the aggregate demand function. Can you derive the aggregate demand function for this economy? Can you quickly derive the aggregate demand function? That's what's there. So online, please, your aggregate demand function, right? Now our consumption, our model is y equals c plus I plus d plus x minus h, right? So we have given the consumption function, right? C. Now we need to substitute, right? 20 plus 0.6 yd plus investment is 200. Very simple, no? Right? Government expenditure is substitute the values. Export is 80, right? Import function is
So
minus.
we cannot visible both, sir. We can't
But you
visible.
have to do it yourself, right? Please do it yourself. This is for my own purpose. I am writing the whiteboard. Right? You have to do it yourself. You need to just substitute to our model y equals c plus I plus gx minus m, right? So I am writing in the whiteboard for my purpose, right? So they cannot see the whiteboard. Right? Okay. So you have to do it in your house because now you are ready to the exam, right? There will be a different question, definite question from this area, right? I have given you the tutorial also, right? You need to do all these things, right? At your home, right? Or discuss with your friends, or if you have any concern, any issue, you can talk to me, right? As well, right? So now we know that y plus c plus I plus gx. So you substitute the model variables given according to our example. So we had 20 plus 0.6 yd plus 200 plus 100 plus 80 minus on bracket 40 plus 0.2 y. So then we simplify the equation. 20.6 yd means now our tax function is we have given autonomous tax y minus tax is 150. So if we have given tax different tax, substitute here, no, right? Y minus, if there is a combined tax, open the bracket and put it there. Y minus 150. So yd means y minus 150 plus now 200, 180. That means 380 minus 40 minus 0.2 y. Right? So now we can simplify, we can remove the brackets further. 20 plus 0.6 y minus 0.6 into 150, how much? And can take it without taking time, right? Right. 90. 90, okay. 0.6 into 150, 90 plus 380 minus 340 means 340 minus 0.21. Right? Now, why write it as aggregate demand? Now, question asks what is aggregate demand? You can write the aggregate demand function any constant variable 340 minus 9, 20, 360 minus 9. How much? 260, no? 360, 260, no? And previous incompatibilities. Okay, calculating it. Minus 0.4y, no? Plus 0.4y. And then, 340 minus 90 plus 20. 270. So this is our aggregate demand function. AD equals 270 plus 0.4y. Is it right? Right? So that is the answer for the first question, right? This open it, right? So, 4y, right? You got it online? Then you need to find out the equilibrium income. So y equal how much? Y minus 0.4y equal 270. 0.6y equal to 170. Y means 0.7. 0.6. 450. Is it correct? I'll get one. 450. And that, right? So you can do it, don't take photos, you can do it yourself, right? You cannot take photos here, right? For my results, right? You got the answer 200, 450, right? So that is 450. Equilibrium national income is 450 according to my calculation. You can check it whether it's correct, right? Then the question asks, suppose the investment declined by 20%. What would be the new equilibrium? If there is a decline in the investment, right? So very quickly you can take it by using the multiplier, no? Right? Or otherwise, now earlier investment is 200, right? So there is a decline in the investment by 20%, right? How much? So that means 40, no? Investment declined by 40 million, no? Right? Change in investment is delta I is 40, right? So you can now earlier investment is 200, change is 40, so then the net investment is 160. Substitute 160 into the model, and you can find out the limit, no? Right? Otherwise, is you can take the multiplier delta y over delta I, no? Investment multiplier. What is that? Our model is lump sum tax 1 over 1 minus b, no? Right? So the delta y we don't know. Delta I is 40. 1 over 1 minus b means our investment marginal propensity to consume is 0.6. 1 over 1 minus 0.6. No? Right? So you can delta y divided by 40 into 0.4. 1 divided by 0.4. 2.5. So the delta y is 2.5 into 40. That means 100. Is it correct? change in income is 100. But the question asks, what will be the new equilibrium income? Not the change, no, right? Earlier equilibrium income is 400, right? So if there is a decline in the investment, we know that there will be a negative impact on income as well. So income also decreased by 100. So 450 minus 100 means 350. Okay. So 350, no, right? So in the new equilibrium income, 350, check those answers are correct. Right? If you have different answers, we can tell you, right? The new equilibrium income is 350, no? Right? So very easy, right? If you have this kind of question, you can get the total marks, right? But you must be very careful when you substitute value, otherwise you will lose all the marks, no? Right? Now think about, right, with the combined tax or the proportionate tax, no? Right? I will upload some questions, right? You can do it, right? So with that, right, we study, there will be this very important, right? You can put the asterisk, right? For the final exam, right, there will be a question, right? But if we talk about in the open economy, or maybe in the closed economy, right? Okay. So there is a question from this area, right? Okay. You got the answers, is it correct? Right. So that's about our discussion about the macroeconomic. Now, in our discussion, we continue with the simple model, closed economic model, and the open economic model, right? Okay, right. So we come to the end of this. Right. So we are moving to the next discussion, right? So that is ISLM model, right? So that is actually so we need to know about this also, right? This is the continuation, right? So ISLM model, right? IS and the LM model, right? So actually, first we look at the why ISLM model is important, right? Compared with the previous model, right? The previous model that we talk about is the Keynesian model, no? Right? Keynesian model of income determination. So what is the importance of the ISL? Right now, you know the Keynesian model that we look at the demand side, no, right? Aggregate demand comprises C plus I plus X minus L, no, right? That one side explain the demand side explanation, no, and how the equilibrium income is determined, no, right? So our analysis is starting with simple model, no, yeah. So basically, in the Keynesian model, talk about the demand side. That means the real sector in the economy, real sector. Right? But the ISLM model, it's not a theory, right? It's a model, right? Previously, we discussed about the Keynesian theory, right? Keynesian income determination theory, right? How the income is determined, right? They are also model also there, right? That basically based on the theory, multiply and so on. So why this ISLM model is important? First, we look at that, right? So here, simply it's actually look at the not only the real sector, no, not only the demand side, other sectors as well, market sector also look at. Right? Now you know that we in the macroeconomics we need to identify the economy as a whole, no, right? So therefore we need to analyze the real sector and the market sector, their interaction, no, right? How the equilibrium is determined with the interaction of the real sector and the monetary sector. It is done through this model. Right? In the previous models of income determination, the Keynesian theory look at only the demand side or the real sector only, right? By analyzing the real sector, we cannot give a clear idea about the overall economic behavior of income determination, right? So that's why one side this model is important, right? ISLM, right? So we look at first very important thing, right? Why it is important, and then we are going to derive this IS and the LN, right? Curves, right? IS and the LN. Because we need to talk about the equilibrium, the IS LN, right? So intersection point of the IS and the LN gives us the equilibrium. That is the equilibrium between the real sector and the market sector. So we derive the IS and the LN curve, right? And then we look at what kind of factors determine the slope of this curve and the position of this. Right? That is very important. So, as we discussed in the previous cases, we know that we always try to get the slope of the curve. When you look at the effectiveness of the policies, right? We need to look at the slope of the ISLN curve, right? And then how we discuss about the equilibrium, how equilibrium is determined in the ISLN frame, right? And finally, we look at the policy effects, right, of this ISLN. For the time being, we look at the ISLM in a closed economy model, right? We are not going to talk about the open economy ISLM model, right? Just that also not sufficient, right? We have one more day to go, right? Let's try to finish this, right? As much as possible, right? So, the closed economy ISLM model without external sector, right? Right. So that is the time outline, right? So that what is we are planning to do, right? This day and the next day, right? Okay, right? So as I mentioned, ISFM model is not a theory. It is an analytical model. So that can be used to explain the determination of income and the interest rate. How the interest rate is determined, how the interest income is. It's not a theory, it's a model. Model. And who is developed by this model? J.R. Hicks. Hicks developed ISLM model, right? It represents both real sector and the monetary sector. In the earlier Keynesian theory, it represents only the one sector, real sector only, right? But here, this will look at the both sectors in one at a particular time, right? How the equilibrium is determined. So that is very important when we are explaining the overall economic behavior. Look at the real sector and the monetary sector, the goods market and the financial market, right? And their interactions, because these two sectors are interrelated, no? Real sector and the monetary sector. Monetary sector impact on the real sector impact on the monetary sector. With these interactions, we can explain how the equilibrium is determined, how the macroeconomic equilibrium is determined, right? And simply we can say ISLM model is an analytical tool that can be used to find out the values for the interest rate and the income. Simultaneously, it will create the real sector and the market. When there is a equilibrium in the both real sector and the monetary sector, right? What is the equilibrium income and the interest rate is explained by the ISL. So it can be used to explain the equilibrium values of income and interest rate when money market and the goods market come to the equilibrium. The real sector and the monetary sector come to the equilibrium. Okay, right? So that's very important, right? Now in the previous version, right? If you look at the previous case, right? Which our Keynesian theory, right? So it look at the one sector only, one side. Keynesian analysis at the one side. What is that one side? Demand side. So the real sector. So that's why we identify the consumption, investment, government expenditure, net exports. Right? So those are the real demand side. That's explain the goods market, right? Real sector only, right? So and how the aggregate demand, how the income is determined based on the one side explanation, right? But that is not realistic, right? We are explaining the behavior of the overall economy, right? In a more complicated manner, right? We need to look at all the stakeholders there, all the interaction points, right? Not only the goods market, we need to look at the other sectors as well, management sector as well. So that's why one side is ancient theory is there are limitations. Limitation is you look at the only the one sector, only the real sector, and try to explain the behavior of the economy based on the real sector. Right? So that is actually not realistic, right? Right? Okay. Not included the monetary sector. Right? So the what gains talk about the money, right? Yeah. I mean, what we explain about the money demand. Gains explain, right? Money demand depends on the four aspects of transaction, proportional space, speculative motives, those things discussed. Okay. But in explaining the behavior of the real sector, he does not incorporate the monetary sector involved, money matters into that context. Especially how this expenditure is financed. Right? Now we are talking about the raising the government expenditure, the ancient theory. Right? How those expenditure is going to be financed is not explained in that model. Financing side. That means the involvement in the monetary sector, money market. It's not explained there, right? So that needs to be incorporated, right? But hence, did not identify the involvement in the monetary sector financing such expenditure, right? So that is very important, right? It does not identify the importance of the real and the monetary sector interaction. That's why hence fails to identify this interaction. We try to explain the income determination model by looking at the real sector on one side. By looking at one side, right? To believe that it's correct, 1930s, case believe that is okay. Right? We need to look at other aspects as well, right? That's why we need to look at the monetary involvement, right? Money matters as well, this explanation, right? So that is the case, basically, right? So Keynes analysis is one side analysis, It only look at the real sector in the economy by analyzing the behavior of the aggregate demand and its components, right? And fail to identify the monetary sector involvement in the economy in determining the equilibrium or in explaining the behavior of the overall economy, right? So that is the main criticism, right? So that's why we need to look at the interaction between the real sector and the monetary sector. So that is done by ISL and model by J.R. Hicks, right? Okay. So what is IS and the LN? IS represents the real sector. I means what? No, investment. S means savings. Investment and the savings. Those two variables represent the real sector. LM means monetary sector, right? L means what is L? What is L? That is called liquidity preference. Liquidity preference. According to the Keynes words. Keynes explained that is liquidity preference. That is the money demand. Liquidity preference or the money demand. L denotes money demand. In other words, it is liquidity preference. Why people demand money? M means money supply. Money is not. So the LM represents monetary sector. Now you see clearly the ISLM. IS represents the real sector, goods market. LM represents the financial market. Right? LM denote money demand and the money supply. IS means investment and savings. So investments and savings are important variables in the real sector. Now, we can say it's a further development of the Keynesian theory. Right? Now, we identify the weak point in the Keynesian theory. Right? So, by identifying the weak points in the Keynesian theory, this ARX develop new model. Right? But this foundation given by the Keynesian theory. Keynes ideas, based on the Keynes ideas, he further fine-tune and develop, modified the Keynesian theory. Right? And develop new models. That's why ISLM model is the modified version of the Keynesian theory. The modified version. Right. Okay. Now ISLM. At the equilibrium, normally what we see. Now, okay, this IS investment savings, right? Liquidity preference. This is called liquidity QUI EITY, liquidity preference, right? So that is the money demand, right? M means the money supply, right? I mean the investment, S means savings. Right? Now we know that the IS curve, this is the real sector. So this is the monetary sector, no? Right? Now in the real sector, we can identify in this way, right? The simple economy, real sector, open economy, no? As we explained in the Keynesian theory, right? In the simple economy, real sector equilibrium occurs I equal S, no? Right? Investment equal savings, no? Right? So if you are using the ISLM model, right? Simple model, right? We need to use the investment and the savings, no? To represent the IS, right? In the three sector model, we can take I plus D. So that is the injection curve, right? It becomes injection curve, and the S plus T becomes withdrawal curve, no? Right? We explain in the real sector equilibrium with the three sector model, we need to take I plus D plus S plus T. Okay. If it is open economy, we need to consider I plus D plus X, S plus T plus N. So that is the equilibrium, no? Right? When we explain the equilibrium in the real sector, we can take these simplified versions. So I the simple economy, I equal S, three sector economy, I plus D in the form of S plus T, and open economy, I plus D plus X, X minus, right? Now, for the time being, we look at only these two, right? We are not going to this open economy, right? The monetary sector equilibrium means money demand equal money supply, no? That is the condition, no? Right? Or liquidity preference, no? Right? Money demand equal money supply. So our money demand function, we can rewrite C naught plus C1Y minus C2R into money supply. Right? So that is the equilibrium, no? Right? C0, C1Y, C2, no? Right? Money demand function, you may remember, money demand depends on the transaction and precautionary. That depends on the income and the interest rate, no? Right? So we write the money demand function C naught plus C1Y minus C2R. That is money demand equals money supply. That is the equilibrium in the monetary sector. Now we need to incorporate both aspects, real sector and the monetary sector. Right? When we are explaining the ISLM equilibrium, right? ISLM equilibrium. Okay. So that way we are going to extend our analysis, right? So we can take different forms, right? Right. So before moving to this, right, then we look at the how the equilibrium, how the curves are determined, right? Okay, right? Now we are going to look at first we are going to discuss about the LM curve, right? Monetary sector. Right? So the monetary sector represented by the LM curve. We are going to explain the money market and the LM curve, right? So we are going to first derive the LM curve, right? So then we look at the slope and the shape of the LM curve, right? And all these things. And finally, we are going to look at the IS curve and how we derive the IS curve and the slope and the position. Finally, we are going to take both together to explain the equilibrium, right? Right. Now, LM curve shows the equilibrium in the money market. You know that. Monetary sector equilibrium is given by the LM curve. Any point on the along the LM curve, right, represents the money market equilibrium, no? Right? Once you derive the LM curve, any point along the LM curve represents the money market. The money demand equal money supply. So it can be derived by the Keynesian theory explanation, right? So what is the Keynesian theory explanation from money market? So according to the Keynes, interest rate is determined according to the money demand and the money supply. So you look at that one, right? So when you derive the LM curve, so we use the Keynesian theory of the money market, right? So what is the Keynes ideas of the money market? Based on that, we derive the LM curve, right? Okay. So LM curve represents various combination of income and interest rate at which money demand equal money supply. Okay, we can get the money market is the point of the LM curve represents the money market, right? Right. So this is the money market equilibrium. We know that money demand equal money supply, you know, at the equilibrium point. We discuss about these things, right? Money demand depends on the income and the interest rate, you know, and there we discuss, right? money demand function, we identified C0 plus C1y minus C2R. C0 means autonomous money demand, no, right? So we discussed. C1 is the income elasticity of money demand, right? Which gives us the change in money demand due to change in the income, no, right? And the C2 is the interest elasticity of money demand that explains the change in money demand due to change in the interest rate, right? So that is C1 and the C2, right? Now we know that income positively affect on the money demand. Why? When income increase, money demand under the transaction and proportional mode is increased. That's why money demand positively impact on with the change in income, no, right? When the income increase, money demand increase under transaction and proportional. When interest rate increase, money demand decrease, negative, no, right? Under the speculative mode, right? Because it's the expectation, right? So if there is a now one time there is a interest rate very high, people will demand for the bonds, share market, down. Now what happens to interest rate increase? How the share market we see the improvement, so right? So that actually with the speculative mode, right? With the interest rate increase, money demand under the speculative model decrease, right? There's a decline in the interest rate, money demand under the speculative model decrease, right? That's negatively related, right? Okay. So that is C1, C2, C0, right? So the money demand and the money supply, we identify. Based on this equilibrium, we are going to derive the LM curve, okay? Money demand and the money supply. What is the Keynes idea of the money demand? Money market. Keynes wave, right? Keynes wave, right? Now this is the money market. We are going to talk about the money market, right? Or we denote it as financial market, financial sector, right? Money demand, right? This is year 14. And this is real money balance. M over P, that is the money stock. Real money balance. Real money balance, right? That is the money stock in real term, no? Right? M over P means real money stock. Real money balance. Money stock in real terms, right? Because M is the money divided by the price level, no? Right? We deflate the price, that means we take the terms, right? So this is money demand, right? Our money demand function, C0 plus C1y minus C2R with downward sloping money demand curve, right? Money supply, how we derive the money supply? So, money supply curve is vertical because according to the Keynes, money demand and the money supply determine the interest rate in the money market, right? How the interest rate is determined according to the money demand and the money supply, okay? According to the money demand and the money supply. So this determines the interest rate. So that is the money market equilibrium. This is the equilibrium interest rate. So this is the money stock in the economy in real terms. M over P stock. So that is the money stock in real terms, right? Now this depends on the income, right? Here interest rate we take into account, right? Money demand depends on the income, right? So this is the equilibrium in the money market, right? So according to the Keynes, money demand and the money supply forces, right, operate in the money market. And based on the money market forces, equilibrium interest rate is determined. Okay. Money demand, why we demand money under the transaction precautionary speculative model. Right? Money supply is determined by the central bank. That's why we wrote it as vertical, no, right? Because it's an exogenous variable. Money supply is exogenous. Determined outside the model, right? Exogenous. It is determined by the central bank, no, right? Exogenous variable, right? The policy variable, no, right? Policy variable, right? Determined by the central bank according to the central bank monetary policy, right? So the money supply is vertical, no, right? We cannot change central bank determine. The central bank increase the money supply, expansion in monetary policy, this curve shift to the right, no, right? So there we can see what happened to the market, no, right? If the central bank use tight monetary policy, reduce the money supply, shift left, no, this curve shift to the left, no, right? We can see what is happening in the market. And also the money demand, no? Without any intervention, no? These forces operate in free market. If there is a rise in the money income, let's say now this is Y0. Income level increase from Y0 to Y1. What happened? If there is our per capita income level increase, no? Right? How we explain this in the money market? Our per capita income increases, suppose our income level increase from Y0 to Y1. So that actually goes to shift the money demand curve to the right. Do you agree? Money demand under Y1. Income level increase from Y0 to Y1. Right? So if there is a rise in the income, money demand, right? When income level increase, people demand more money under transaction and precautionary model. So as a result of that, money demand increase that can be explained by shifting the money demand curve to the right, right? Given by MDY1, right? So when there is a rise in the money demand, keeping the money supply constant, what happens? That at the prevailing interest rate, there is excess money demand, right? Sorry. Money stock is constant, right? Money stock is given, right? But there is a increase in the money demand, right? At the prevailing interest rate, this happened at the prevailing interest, right? Earlier income level increase, right? Initially, there is no change in the interest rate, right? Quickly, right? What happened? Money demand curve shift to the right. There is excess money demand. Excess money demand. No, at the prevailing interest rate, R star, no. Now, right? Interest rate right? It's fixed, it's given, no? Right? At the prevailing interest rate, if we assume there is excess money demand. So when there is excess money demand, what happens? Money supply is constant, there is no change in the money supply, but money demand increase. There will be an upward pressure on interest rate to increase, no? Right? See, there is excess money demand. Interest rate increase from R star to R1. It moves the equilibrium from R star to R1, no money market equilibrium. New equilibrium interest rate is R1. So again, money market come to the equilibrium. Here E0, E1. New equilibrium point. Equilibrium point moves from E0 to E1, right? As a result. Outcome of this, what is the risk? Issue is change is the income level change. So the money demand change, interest rate also increase. Money market equilibrium change. Right? Now you believe at this point money market is in equilibrium, no? Initially, money demand equal money supply. Okay. Now if you look at the new change at the even again money market come to the equilibrium. Now, if you look at this one based on the money demand function, why there is a rise in the interest rate? We can further explain what is happening behind the screen. So, I film it up nice means just right? Nice actors and so on. But behind the screen, over there, you have done come on, we may have ever been done there, but then but behind the screen, what is happening? There are so many things happening. Now, when the income level increase, right? Money demand increase, interest rate increase from R star to R1. What is happening behind the screen? Real story. If you want to explain the real story, you need to look at the money demand function. So money demand function, we can write C naught plus C1y minus C2r. Income increase. Our change is income increase from Y0 to Y1. Right? So then as a result of that, money demand increase under transaction and precautionary bond. Right? Then income increase from Y0 to Y1. Money demand increase under transaction and precaution. That explained by shifting the money demand to the right. Right? So when money demand increase, money supply is constant, right? There is excess money demand in the money market, right? That we identified as at the prevailing interest rate. So there is excess money demand given by this distance, right? There is excess money demand, right? So what happened? Is there is excess money demand, in order to come to the equilibrium, two outcomes should be need to be happen. No? Either one is high cash should be increase in money supply. Otherwise, there should be a decline in money demand. Right? We evaluate a coordinate on that the money supply whether to come to the equilibrium again market, right? So what happened? Now there is a rise in the interest rate. You know that money supply cannot change, it's determined by the central bank according to their policies, no, right? So here outcome occurs, interest rate increase, no, right? So when there is a rise in the interest rate, what happened? Money demand under speculative motive decrease, no, right? Earlier money demand under the transaction and precautionary motive increase due to rise in the income, that is totally offset by increasing as a result of the rise in the interest rate. Because when there is a rise in the interest rate, under the speculative motive, money demand increases, right? So interest rate increase until this excess money demand comes to zero. Interest rate increase until this excess money demand comes to zero under the speculative. So when interest rate increase from R0 to R1, this excess money demand comes to zero, right? So that means money demand under the speculative model decrease. So therefore, new equilibrium restored at E1 there. So the money market comes to the equilibrium, right? So that is the story, right? We need to explain that story, right? First, you look at apparent one, you can see the screen, right? Behind the screen, what can be explained, right? Based on the relevant equation, money demand and the money supply. Okay. So that is the money market behavior, right? If there is a change in the income, we can explain the money market behavior. If the money supply increase, what happens? That is other way around, right? Now, if let's say money supply increase, now central bank increase the money supply. So this is our money demand. So this is the money supply curve, vertical. Initially, this is the equilibrium, right? R0. This is the real money balance. Initial level, right? Initially, money market is in equilibrium. First, we start from the initials. Then we look at the change. Now, what happened? The change is now central bank raise the money supply. Raise the money supply, right? Central bank increase the money supply. The expansion in monetary policy. Money stock increase. What happened? This curve shift to the right. Money supply curve now shift. Right? Now the money stock increase M0 to M1. This is M0. Now this is money supply M1. Price level we take same, right? We are not talking about the price change, right? So this is K, right? We need to denote money stocks increase from M0 to M1, right? So the real money balance will increase, because money supply increase. Right? So that means money supply curve shift to the right, given by M0, M1S, right? From M0S to M1S, right? What happened? As a result of that, we see that there is a decline in the interest rate. Equilibrium interest rate decrease, right? Real money balance increase. Because under the expansion in monetary policy, the central bank increased the money supply, then keep the money supply to the right. So at the prevailing interest rate, if you take, there is excess. What is happening now? Excess money supply. At the prevailing interest rate, there is excess money supply. Since there is excess money supply, this rate cannot be prevail at R0 level, right? Interest rate decrease, right? Interest rate decrease up to R1. A money market come to the equilibrium at this point, right? Later you can put this way, right? Decrease come to the equilibrium. So this is the change in money supply, right? So here, when the money stock increase, money supply increase, that create excess money supply in the money market, right? As a result of that, there is a tendency to decline the interest rate, right? If there's excess money supply, because money demand is constant. Money demand does not change, but central bank increase the money stock in the economy under its expansionary monetary policy, right? So that actually reduces the interest rate, right? As a result of that, right? Interest rate increase. Now, you can explain this one based what is the behind the what is happening. How you explain? When the central bank increase money stock, right? Interest rate decrease, right? Interest rate decrease. When there is a decline in the money demand, this is the money demand function, C0 plus C1y minus C2r, right? Now, if there is a rise in the money stock, right, so that reduces the interest rate. Right? When there is a decline in the interest rate, right, money demand increase. Earlier, money supply increase from M0 to M1, no, right? Right. Due to decline in the interest rate, money demand under the speculative motive, right? So finally, money supply equals to money demand at the equilibrium point. So therefore, the equilibrium re-established at this point at the interest rate R1. So likewise, we can explain what is happening there behind this, right? The story is you need to draw the graph, right? And you need to explain the step by step, right? What is happening, right? Those changes, right? So suppose if there is this is the money market behavior, right? Based on the Keynesian theory, Keynes explanation, right? So money demand, if there is a rise in the income level, what happened? There's expansion in monetary policy, what happened, right? If likewise, if the confidence, investment confidence increase again, the money demand increase, right? Everything you can explain this, no? Right? Okay. Right. Right. So that is the money market, right? Little bit we explain about this, no? Right? Now, yeah, what we are trying to do is we are going to explain the LN curve, no? Right? So if you want to explain the LN curve, you must know the money market and their behavior. Right? So now you know what is happening in the money market. You can derive the LN curve based on that, right? The LN curve represents money demand and the money supply. You know at the equilibrium point, money demand equal money supply. Any point on the LN curve represents money market equilibrium. Okay? Okay, right? Now this is the how we are going to derive the equilibrium, right? Now this is the money market that we discussed, right? Money demand, money supply. Okay? Money market, and based on the money market equilibrium, we are going to derive the money equilibrium LN curve, right? We'll know this. Right. So this is the money market. And the real money stock, right? So this is the money demand, money supply. Particular income level Y0, let's say. Initially, a market is in equilibrium at R0 level, right? So this is the real money balance, right? Okay. So now we assume income level increase. Initially, we assume income level increase from Y0 to Y1, right? If income level increase from Y0 to Y1, right? What happened? Money demand increase, no? Right? So money demand at higher income level Y1, no? Right? So when there is a rise in the income level from Y0 to Y1, right? Money demand under the transaction and proportional motive increase. So that means the money demand curve shift to the right, no? Right? So same thing, right? You can identify these points, right? So so now what happened earlier? So this is the equilibrium point initially, no? We had this is the equilibrium. Is 0. Now new equilibrium moves up to E1, right? Okay. As a result of that, right? So when income level increase from Y0 to Y1, that create excess money demand in the money market, no, right? As a result of that, there will be upward pressure on interest rate to rise. Interest rate increase from R0 to R1, new equilibrium established at E1 point, right? So at Y0 level, R0. Now we can take R0. Here, income level Y0, right? 1 point, right? So these are the equilibrium points. By looking at the equilibrium points, we can derive the LN curve, right? Because LN curve represents money market equilibrium, right? When income level increase from R0 to R1, sorry, Y1, Y0 to Y1, interest rate also increase R1, right? Another point we can take, right? By combining those points, right, we can derive the LN curve, right? So it shows the equilibrium in the money market, right? So by combining the equilibrium points, right, we can identify the LN. Okay. So that's why we say it's based on the money market equilibrium, we can derive the LM, right? So this is explained by the Keynes, no? Right? Money demand and the money supply. So the Higgs developed LM curve based on that. Right? So both LM curve is based on the Keynesian theory explanation of money demand. Right? Now what you can observe here, LM curve is upward sloping, no? Right? Upward sloping. Why? Why it is upward sloping, right? So that explained based on this, no? Right? When the income level increase from Y0 to Y1, right? Money demand increase under the transaction and precautionary motives and the prevailing interest rate, right? Under the prevailing interest rate, right? So as a result of that, there will be a pressure on interest rate to rise, right? When there is an increase in the interest rate under that, right? So the money demand under the speculative motive decrease, equilibrium moves from here to here, right? So that means income increase, interest rate also increase, right? Initial income increase, no? That create excess money demand. As a result of that, interest rate also increase, no? Right? We know that both point how the money market equilibrium occurs. So therefore, LM curve is upwards. Okay. LM curve is upwards. Okay. It's positively sloped. Positively sloped. Right? It's positively sloped, right? So any point on the LM curve, what happened? Given by the money demand equal money supply, no? Right? Any point on the LM curve, money demand equal money supply. Money market equilibrium. Okay. So you can identify that, right? Right. Now here you have given the same thing, right? Initially we are starting from E equilibrium, no? Right? At R0 level, right? Money market is in equilibrium, right? We get 1 point there, right? And when income level increase from Y0 to Y1, right? Money demand curve shift to the right, no? Because money demand on the transaction and proportional amount increase. That create excess money demand in the money market, there will be a rise in the interest rate as a result of that. When there's an interest rate increase from R0 to R1, money demand under the speculative motive decrease. Right? Again, money market up to the equilibrium. E1. Another point we can derive. If there's a further rise in the income level up to Y2 something, right? This curve further shift to the right. There's excess money demand as a result of that interest rate increase from R1 to R2. Right? Equilibrium at E, right? So those equilibrium point combining, we can derive the LM, right? LM curve is upward sloping, it's positively sloped, right? So that explains the positive slope. Higher income, higher interest rate. Higher income, higher interest rate. Right? So you know the what is happening there behind this field. You can explain this of the money demand function. Okay. In this, we need a break. Right? Can in 10 minutes break, okay? We need any questions to ask in lessons? Any questions? No questions? 2 day, 1 more day, right? If you have any now, I have given you the computer OS, right? Yesterday was like, we refer those things, right? Practice those questions, right? And so, right? So, you can take 10-minute break. Okay. Yeah. Oh, tapi itu mau kita tahan itu untuk saya katakan dia kan betul menggunakan ini. Nah, so ya kalau lah kita kalau kita punya respect orang kita itu yang produksian ini mana kita yang agak terkadang memang tapi dari tempat yang lima itu sendiri bisa mulai kamu juga itu adalah ini pemilik pendidikan benar ini ada ini dia ini lagi oh dia ini kami ini kan oh kita tahu mereka apa namanya mereka di mana jadi kami kerja alam itu kan kalau sih ini orang ini kita awal ini benar itu हमारे टेक्निकल साइड पर है ना बिल्कुल काम में काम online participants can you hear me hello online can you hear me those who are participating online can you hear me
Oh, yes, sir. We can hear you.
do you have yes do you have any questions to ask
No, sir.
is it
Don't,
clear now in
no, up now,
previous
no.
one in the very first one that we discussed small sum right how about that one have you attempted that one got the answers
Yes, sir. Yes.
all right okay so if you have any question you can raise right
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
so far is it okay in the this ISLM model this LM curve is it okay
Yes, sir. Okay, I know.
Now, in the previous thing, now still we are not starting the lesson for the break. We stop right now. If you have any, just I want to, since we have time, right? If we can discuss anything. If you have any problems or issues in the previous things, you have any uh, questions to ask in the, regarding the previous discussions? Any clear? And if you want to clear any idea or something, you can ask any questions.
Okay, sir.
So why is it okay? Now I have given you the, I have uploaded certain tutorials, right? So, and covering the each, most of the topics, right? So you need to do those tutorials. And as an homework, right? So if you have any problem, you can discuss it with your friends. And also, if you want any clarification regarding those the questions in the tutorials, right? With your ideas, I would like to talk with you, right? So you can raise, if you have any concern, you can talk to me, you can contact me over the phone, right? Okay. Right. So now we derived the island curve, right? I think it's clear, right? So you must be able to explain the slope, right? Positive slope, right? So how we derive the inlet curve, right? That's also very important, right? Now then we are going to look at the shape, right? Shape as we discussed, right? Shape is upward sloping, right? Positive slope. So you know why there is a positive slope, right? See the income level increase from one level to another level, right? So there is a more demand for the money, right? As we identified, more into the transaction and precautionary motives, right? And that will raise the interest rate, pushes the interest rate further, right? So, and new equilibrium established, right? So therefore, we see the positive kind of relationship with the income and the interest rate. So that explains the positive slope there, right? Okay. So then we are going to talk about the slope of the element. So slope. Then, what factors determine the slope? LM curve, right? So LM curve represents the money market equilibrium, right? Based on the money demand and the money supply, the equilibrium situations in the money market. So what factors basically, now we know when we talk about the LM curve, it's mainly the money demand and the money supply. So the money supply is the exogenous area, right? That's why we take it as a vertical, right? Since it's the monetary region, policy area. So the more influence on the LM curve coming from the money demand, right? That is the most influential factor determining the LM curve. So therefore, the slopes mainly depends on the money demand. Right? So what factors determine the money demand? Basically, two factors we identify: income and the interest rate. So there we identify the associated with the income elasticity and the interest elasticity. So we identify the slopes mainly depends on the income elasticity of money demand and interest elasticity of money demand. So in the money demand function, you may know that in the main form of the money demand, we identify C0 plus V1 by minus V2R, right? Income elasticity of money demand and interest elasticity of money demand, C1 and the C2. So those are the two factors that determine the slope of the money demand. One is the income elasticity of money demand, that is associated with the money demand with the change in income, right? And the other part is associated with the money demand, change in money demand due to change in the interest rate, interest elasticity of money demand. So the two factors are the C1 and the C2, right? So those are the more influential factors we can take, right? Now what is the outcome when the C1 if we take, right? If we have the C1 is high C1, low C1, right? If the C1 is high, small change in the money demand income sometimes significantly affect the money demand. There is a high sensitivity between the income and the money demand, right? C1 is high, right? High sensitivity. Sometimes C1 is low or respond to change in the money income, right? Change the money demand, right? Sensitivity is low. Or the relationship between the income and the money demand is explained by the C1. C1 can be, the relationship can be strong or weak, right? Larger means strong relationship between the income and the money demand. What happened? Steeper and lengther. If the strong relationship is there between the income and the money demand, normally we get steeper and lengther. They are right? But if there is a lower sensitivity between the income and the money demand, you get a flatter LM curve. Now you can think about that, right? So the slope, we take one factor, the C1, right? It may be high or low, right? Depending on that, the slope of the LM curve change. If you have the high C1, that means high sensitivity between the income and the money demand, normally we get steeper LM curve. If there is a lower sensitivity between the income and the money demand, we get flatter LM, right? And when it comes to the C2, interest elasticity of money demand, that also can be high or low, right? C2 means if there is a high sensitivity between the interest rate and the money demand, that explains the speculative things, right? So C2 is high, right? If the C2 is high, we get flatter LM curve, opposite way. And the C2 is low, we get steeper LM, right? So you need to think about that, right? So we are going to talk more on that, right? First we take the income elasticity of money demand, right? C1. That explains the responsiveness of money demand due to change in the income. Change in income, sorry, change in money demand due to change in the income, right? Now if we take the C1 is high, right? We assume C1 is high. If there is a high sensitivity, okay? Now here we need to look at the money demand function, right? Okay. Our money demand is C0 plus C1y minus 2r, right? So if there is a high C1, right? Suppose if there is a rise in the income in a smaller margin, right? We have the high C1, and if the income is increase by a small percentage, what happened? Money demand increase significantly. That C1 එක වැඩි, right? නමුත් ආදායම සුළු ප්‍රමාණයකින් වැඩි වෙනකොට මුදල් ඉල්ලුම වැඩි වෙනවා විශාල ප්‍රමාණයකට. Because there is a high sensitivity between the income and the money demand. Because C1 is high, right? Small rise in income change the money demand significantly under the transaction and precautionary model, right? Now the money market is in disequilibrium, right? Money demand is value, right? So therefore, there should be adjustment in the interest rate. Money supply is constant, no? Adjustment in the interest rate. No? Money demand increase. Interest rate also should increase at a faster rate, no? Right? To equilibrate the money market, right? Under such circumstances, no? Right? And ආදායම් සුළු ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි වුණා, මුදල් ඉල්ලුම විශාල වශයෙන් වැඩි වුණා, මුදල් ඉල්ලුම ආරක්ෂණ චේතනාව වැඩි තියෙන්නේ, right? Transaction and precautionary motive. To equilibrate the market, there should be adjustment in the interest rate. Interest rate should rise larger portion in order to absorb the excess money demand. When there is a rise in the interest rate, you know that money demand under speculative profit, if this money market comes to equilibrium. Therefore, income change smaller, but interest rate change very high. What is the relationship? In order to make that kind of picture, there should be we should have steeper or flatter. We should have positive relationship. Now, slope of the LM curve is now that explains the positive relationship between the C1 and the slope, right? So now what happened? Smaller change if you draw the LM curve, right? If the slope is steeper, what happened? Small change in income, higher change in the interest. It's a flatter or steeper? Flatter, right? So we get a flatter curve. If the C1 is high, no, right? So we explain, we get now C1 is high, right? Steeper LM curve. Right? Now you can draw the curve and see. This is the slope, right? That is the slope. Now the LM curve, we have the steeper, positive, no, right? So this is the LM curve, steeper. So this is the flatter. LM. Flatter curve, no, right? Steeper means now if you take this point, right? This intersection point. Interest rate change very high, right? But income change small. Y0 to Y1. We have the high C1, no, right? We get steeper LM curve, right? A smaller rise in income will be offset by higher adjustment in the interest rate. We get steeper LM curve. So this is C1 high. That's the thing we explained based on the equation. Smaller rise in income, change the money demand significantly. And to equilibrate the money market, there should be an upward adjustment in interest rate at a faster rate. That means we get a steeper LM curve. If it is flatter curve, right? Now you can see, right? Flatter curve, right? It's a small change in the interest rate, but larger change in the income. Flatter. If the C1 is low, right? So this is C1 low, right? C1 low means we get flatter. So one factor that determines the slope of the LM curve is income elasticity of money demand. The income elasticity of money demand is high. we get steeper yield curve. The income elasticity of money demand is low, we get flatter yield curve, right? Okay. And the other one, second component is the interest elasticity of money demand, right? Now this is the C1 high, right? Other one is the C2. C2 interest elasticity of money demand. So that explains the sensitivity between the interest rate and the money demand. Now suppose we assume the lower C2, right? If there is a lower sensitivity, right? Interest rate is not highly responsive to change the money demand, right? Most of the developing countries we see such kind of things. Even though there is adjustment in the interest rate, right? There's no, now we see the lower the interest rate, right? We think that the investment will accelerate accordingly. Expect, can't expect, right? There are so many other obstacles, right? Developing countries, right? Even though the cost of capital will reduce, right? Private sector not willing to undertake investment projects, so there are certain other factors those to accelerate, right? And therefore, interest rate is not high response. Even though interest rate decreases, investment not accelerate. So, we expect that money other but we cannot expect certain things to happen. So there should be some kind of arrangements in other states as well, situations, right? So that is not the only factor, right? The state. So some other institutions are there, right? So that means not highly sensitive. Interest rate is not highly sensitive. Lower interest elasticity of investment. If there's a lower interest elasticity, even though the interest rate decrease, money demand does not react to that. People are not demanding money. So, right? We expect now there's a one notation price, one price, security price depends on the interest rate, one price, right? We'll talk about that one, right? So the one prices, right? So now when the interest rate increase, one prices decrease, no, right? There's a lower demand for bonds, right? So that means we expect, that is with the expectation, no, right? So if the people believe that the interest rate will increase in the future, right? Then they know that there will be a decline in the price of bonds, no, future. That will make capital losses, no, right? Share prices decrease, right? Then we capital losses. So therefore, they will reduce the demand for money. That's why there's a negative relationship between interest rate and the money demand. Right? Now here, if there is a lower sensitivity, now we assume interest rate increase significantly, but the C2 is low. What happened? Money demand decrease, right? So there is a lower sensitivity, right? So in order to readjust the money market equilibrium, there should be a small upward adjustment in the income. Then so that kind of relationship, lower rise in the income with respect to higher change in the interest rate. So we get steeper LM curve. Steeper LM curve. If the lower value of the C2 is low, we get steeper LM. Small adjustment is enough, no? Right? To offset the decline in the money demand due to larger upward adjustment in the interest rate under the circumstances of lower C2, right? Okay. So we get the lower value C2 means with the interest elasticity of investment. So yes, interest elasticity of money demand, right? There are different words are there. This is money demand, no? Interest elasticity of money demand. C2 is low, right? We get a flatter, right? Sorry, steeper L N curve, right? We get the steeper L N. If the C2 is high, we get flatter. So those are the two factors that determine slope of the L N curve. We have the C1 and the C2. Right? When it comes to the L N curve, that mainly influenced by the money demand, not the money supply. The money demand function, two factors we can identify the C1 and the C2. Those are the factors that determine slope of the L N, right? So you want to know about the nature of the C1 and the C2 and the slope of the L N, right? If the C1 is high, the income elasticity of money demand is high, we get steeper L N curve. Income elastic money demand is low, we get flatter. If the C2 is high, we get flatter. If the C2 is low, we get higher the value of the C2 means we get flatter. The lower C2 means steeper L N. Likewise, kind of relationship. Okay. So now we can see that one, right? Steeper and the right? This is the one factor, right? Slope of the L N curve, right? So when you look at the policy effectiveness, policy effects of this, if we implement the monetary policy or something, right? We need to look at this slope, right? So that is mainly explained by the C1 and the C2, right? So even though we sometimes use the expansion monetary policy, right? The effectiveness depends on the slope of the L N curve. Slope depends on C1 and the C2. Then you can relate all these things when we explain the effectiveness of the policy. Monetary policy, because monetary policy affects the L N curve. Monetary policy affects the L N curve. Right. Okay, yeah. Right. Now here you have given the summary, right? If we have the C2 can be high or low, right? C1 can be high or low, right? If the C1 is high, we get steeper L N curve. If the C1 is low, we get flatter L N curve. If the C2 is high, we get flatter L N curve. If the C2 is low, we get steeper L N curve. That is the summary. Right. But when we are analyzing the things, right, there are two special circumstances, right? Now we know that C2 is, C2 is, now here we take the C2, right? C2 can be high or low, right? Sometimes C2 can be zero, or C2 can be infinity. Those are the two extreme cases that we can identify when we explain some theories, basically classical theory and the Keynesian theory. Right? Now there we identify this classical case and the Keynesian case. According to the classical economics, we did talk about the classical theory, right? Detail, right? But this is the circumstances, that we can relate with the classical idea. If the C2 is low, C2 low means what is it? C2 means interest elasticity of money demand. If it is zero, that means that whole part becomes null, right? C2 part and money demand depends on C1 plus C1 by. The C2 is zero. Money demand depends on the autonomous part and the other part. That is the part. Money demand function, we can write it as C1 plus C1 by. Those other parts must be zero. Right? If the C2 is zero, zero interest elasticity of money demand. Right? So that means money demand is not respond to change in the interest rate. Totally non-reactive. Right? Zero is there. So that is the zero interest elasticity, right? So in that circumstance, what happens? L N curve become vertical, right? Become vertical, and that is the classical case, right? Because classical economics believe money act as a medium of exchange, right? According to the money demand function, right? We identify three motives now. Money demand and the transaction, proportion, and speculation, right? So the classical economics identify money act as a medium of exchange. That explains this transaction and precautionary motives of the speculative, right? According to the classical economics, people for the exchange purpose of transaction and deposited money. People demand money. Because they believe money does not play any role other than the acting as a medium of exchange. There is no role of money in determining the real variables. That means money has neutral impact on income and the employment. Monetary variables are not important. That's the classical early ideas. Money is not important. Explaining the behavior of the real variables. We are explaining the relation to income, output, employment. Money has no role. According to the classical. Somehow money is not important. But money only acts as a medium of exchange. According to if the C2 is 0, that's true, right? So they also believe C2 is 0. They ignore the interest rate money. Money depends on transaction proportion of money demand. Right? So that is the classical case. Right? Now the classical case, right? C2 is 0, right? So that means money demand depends on C1 plus C0 plus C1Y, right? If we take the equilibrium in the money market, because money supply equals money demand, right? So we can write it as money supply, money demand C0 plus C1Y. If we take the equilibrium, Y, right? We can take M over S C1 plus C0 C1. Right? So this is the equilibrium, no? Right? Right? That means MS plus C0 divided by C1. No? So this is the equilibrium, no? Right? So that is the under this LM curve becomes vertical, no? Right? Under the classical. So this is the equilibrium. Fine. At this point, Y equal MS plus C0 divided by C1 at this point, right? Okay. So that is the classical case. C2 become C2 0, right? Okay. So LM curve become vertical. Monetary policies are not effective. Right. So that is the classical case. Okay. So then the next one. Other extreme case is C2 infinity. Okay. That is another case. That's why we identified as Keynesian case. C2 infinite. Infinite interest elasticity of interest rate. That means C2 anante kan kata mera dengan moral C2 anante kan. That means C2 is very high value, right? C2 is very high value. C2 infinite interest elasticity of money, right? So now this kind of situation, right, is called in Keynesian economics as liquidity trap situation. Liquidity trap. So under such circumstances, economies, money market rates are very low. Interest rate is very low level. Not zero, very low level. The liquidity trap situation, right? Money market rates become very low. Right? In case of lower interest rate, what happened? Compared with the normal interest rate is high, but very low level interest rate. People expectation change. Because if the lower level expectation now they are right, they expect interest rate will increase in the future, no? Right? Thereby the economic capital economy, right? Ipela yes again na ne dia dia wala to sapa ne dan masih setiap dia dalam dalam ni dia itu ne kita bisa dari ini pun ne right dia interest rate dan dia anak dalam kalau dalam ni kan right so what happened I invested but people believe the interest rate will decrease so they can put safety cap expectation if there's a lower interest rate. Right? People expect by interest rate will increase here. Right? If there is a rise in the interest rate, right, you know that they expect price of bonds will decrease. Now this is the case, no? Right? Price of bonds depends on the face value divided by the interest rate. No? Normally, if the interest rate increase, price of bonds decrease, no? Bond prices, right? So there is a negative relationship between the interest rate and the bond prices, right? Now, at a lower level, liquidity trap situation means very lower level interest rate, no? Right? Money market rates are very, so the people expect the interest rate will increase in the future. If there is a rise in the interest rate, bond prices decrease, that make capital losses, no? Right? Therefore, they are not demanding money. No? Money demand under the speculative model decrease as a result of that, right? Money demand under speculative motive decrease, right? People not demanding money. Monetary policy is not effective. So that is the situation, right? Now, under these circumstances, now this is the situation, right? We draw the so this is the money market, right? Money supply. So this is the money demand curve. It's very lower level, right? Money demand curve become merely horizontal, right? At a lower level, right? So this is money demand, right? At Y0, right? So very lower level interest rate, right? So this is the money supply, let's say. So interest rate R0, right? So even though there is a rise in the income level, right? MDY1. Income level increase, right? People expect there will be a rise in the interest rate, right? That make capital losses, right? That make capital losses. Since the economy is at a lower level interest rate. Small rise in the interest rate will make capital losses, right? Therefore, people don't demand money under the speculative model under this situation, right? So this is called liquidity trap situation, right? ද්‍රවශීලතා උගුලකට අසුරු ආර්ථිකයක්, right? But in a normal income level, higher income level, this is the normal income level, right? Money demand at Y2, right? And we see if the income increase Y2, Y3, right? So at the lower level income level, there is a change in the interest rate. Because at the normal interest rate, right? So this is the normal interest rate, so higher level of income. So this is the very lower level interest rate, liquidity trap situation, right? People are not demanding Yeah, that's speculative, right? So here under these circumstances, LM curve also become nearly horizontal, right? But at the normal level of interest rate, it becomes upward sloping, not steeper curve, right? So this is the LM. So at a lower level interest rate, LM curve also become nearly horizontal, right? So in a liquidity trap situation, LM curve become horizontal, right? Horizontal, right? Nearly horizontal, right? Because at a lower level of interest rate, but at a higher level of interest rate, it becomes steeper curve, no? Right? You can see it's steeper, no? Like we discussed earlier in the normal LM curve upwards, right? So this is the case, liquidity trap situations, right? Under such situations, monetary policy is not maintained, right? Okay. So the liquidity trap situation is money demand very lower, become money demand curve also becomes horizontal, no, right? LM curve also become nearly horizontal, right? It's a very lower level interest rate, right? And people expect there's a rise in the interest rate in the future, right? That way capital losses, right? Therefore, they are behaving in the same manner. They are not demanding money under such situations because it creates capital losses. Therefore, demand for under the speculative model decrease, no? Money demand. So that is the liquidity trap situation, right? So that is called Keynesian case. So this is the Keynesian case. Early version is the classical case. Classical case is C2 become 0, right? So C2 0, C2 infinite, those are the two extreme cases that we can argue. Right. So that is liquidity trap. Control policy is in effect, right? If the LM curve is vertical, right? We draw the normal IS curve, right? So you can see the monetary policy implementing monetary policy under the median horizontal case, right? It's in effect, right? And this is the case, right? So even though the money supply increased, that will not change the interest rate. Even though the central bank change the money supply, there will be no impact on interest rate. Because money demand curve is horizontal, no? Under such circumstances, right? Okay. So that is called liquidity trap. Right. So then we are going to talk about so that is the shape of the slope of the LM curve, right? Then we are going to look at thing. Then we are going to talk about the position of the slopes depend on two factors, remember C1 and the C2. Right? We can take two extreme cases, C2 0, C2 infinity. That explains the classical case and the case. Then position. So that means shifting factors, whether it's shift right or left of LM. What factors goes to shift the LM curve? So you know that those are the other exogenous factors. So monetary policy factors, central bank, right? Money supply. That is one factor. Changing money supply. But yes, small scale numbers, exogenous. If it is change, entire LM curve shift to that. Okay. If there is an increase in the money supply, LM curve shift to the right. If there is a decrease in the money supply, LM curve shift to the left. And the other one is shifting the money demand function. So that means autonomous part. You know that there is autonomous money demand. What is that? C0. C1 and the C2, those two parts affect the slope, right? But autonomous, there is autonomous change in the money demand without change in income and the interest rate, no, due to other factors, maybe the political factors, prices, financial prices, right? Money demand change, financial prices, that's how political factors are money demand. Political uncertainty, people are not investing. Speculation is not here to invest, right? There are government change in the game, whether this points. Again, the government change in power during the election period, people know that it will be more good for the private sector and so on. Website, this service system and so on, right? So they are still here, right? And political factors. These factors affect seriously this serious concept that the latency in change, no? And they want to see their policies, no? Right? Still, there's a doubt, no? Right? Some explanation, no? Right? Like this thing in my time, if I get education, and all right, then I'm very frustrated. Regulations, right? Like, so certain things are there, some investments, no, they goes down, right? And right investments, payments, cancer, right? Those are there. So likewise, no, right? Some political factors also affect those things, right? So that depends on the autonomous money demand. The shifting the money demand function means changing the autonomous money demand. C node. If there is a C node change, entire money demand will shift left or right. Right? Okay. We need to think about that, right? Now, for an example, I am not going to explain these things in broad way, right? If there is an increase in the money supply, you know that we discuss real money balance, no, MOB, no, right? If the central bank increase the money supply, real money balance change, no, right? So that means entire money demand apply curve shift to the right, no, right? So if the money supply increase, the LM curve also shift to the right, right? Shift to the right, right? So this is the real money balance. This is the earlier real money balance MOP, right? Now, with the expansionary monetary policy, money stock increase from M0 to M1, no, right? This M1 is MJ, no, right? Price level constant, then real money balance increase, right? We are not talking about the price changes at this level, right? We assume price is constant, no? When the money stock increase, real money balance also increase. That means if there is an increase in the real money balance, LM curve shift to the right. If there is an increase in the liquidity, LM curve shift to the right. If there is a decrease in the liquidity, LM curve shift to the right. Mean real money balance liquid. Right. Now, other one is the shift in the money demand function, as we mentioned. Right? The money demand function shift due to change in the C node, right? C node, autonomous money demand, right? So that explains these economic prices, no? Right? For the political factors, political, right? Macroeconomic stability, right? Macroeconomic environment, right? So if there is a conducible macroeconomic environment, right? Is C node, autonomous money demand, right? Improve, right? So now if there is an uncertain situation, political instability, financial crisis, financial tsunami, no, right? Recession, no, world economy, what happened? That create risk and uncertainty. Business segment, right? Investing, because it's not clear in future, right? Cannot expect favorable things will be happen in the future if the political situation is not clear, right? There's a crisis situation, social crisis, maybe. You so that's right? Pandemic situation, right? Not only the financial, social crisis, right? That create uncertainty and risk increase, right? So if there is a uncertainty and the risk increase, some business may liquidate or close down. That affect to the bond demand. And the stock market will collapse, right? There will be a contagion effect to the local market as well. Bond for the bonds increase, right? So demand is something. This expectation and the things happening in the other countries, all these things are out of the way. So therefore, there will be a risk on investing bond, no, right? When the government fails, no, right? This development bonds, government declared bankrupt, no, right? That affected the bond demand, no, right? People actually fear, no, right? Officer කිව්වේ මේ government එකේ interest එක හොඳයි කියන්නේ government එකක් පෙරළුණු කල්ලි අපේ So under such situation, right? So there is a high risk of investing in bonds, right? So the right high risk on bonds, right? Money demand might increase, right? People not invest money and keep money, right? They are fair to invest, no? Right? So that is autonomous part, no? Right? So if there is this kind of political instability or something, right? What happens? Autonomous money demand, people keep money in their hand. Right? Now what happened here? Now you can see, right? So this is the initial situation, right? We have the this is money market, right? Okay. This is the LM curve, right? Okay. Now right hand side you see the LM curve and the left hand side you see the money market. So initially we are in the R0 level, Y0. Money market is in equilibrium, no? At Y0 income level, right? So what happened if the without now why this money demand curve shift to the right? Because of the autonomous change in money demand. If the A is autonomous money demand increase because of the uncertainty, no, right? People not invest, keep money with there, right? Money demand increase without changing income, right? That means increasing the autonomous money demand, right? So money demand increase, right? Interest rate increase as a result of, right? If there is a further increase in autonomous part, this curve further shift to right, no? Money demand. Interest rate pushes up. Right? Now, income does not change, but interest rate increase, right? Now, this is initially the money LM curve is given by a red line, no? Right? Now, due to change in the autonomous money demand, right, at a prevailing interest rate, no? Interest rate increase. That means entire money demand curve shift to the left. Right? If there is a rise in the autonomous money demand curve shift to the left. Sorry, LM curve shift to the left. So because of the uncertainty, right? So this is explain the change in money demand function. Right? If the entire money demand function change, now autonomous part, autonomous money demand increase, LM curve shift to the left. If the autonomous money demand decrease, that explained by income and interest and other factors. This curve shift to the right. Okay. That is different, right? Due to change in autonomous money. So those are the two factors that determine the position of the LM curve. What are those two factors? One is change in money supply, the other is change in autonomous money. If there is an increase in the money supply, LM curve shift to the right. If there is an increase in the autonomous money demand, LM curve shift to the left. Okay. Is it clear? So those are the shifting factors, right? So that's about the IS LM curve, right? So we discussed how we derive the LM curve, and based on the explanation given by the Keynesian theory, based on money demand and the money supply, money market equilibrium, right? And then we discussed the factors determine the slope of the LM curve, C1 and C2, and then we discuss what factors determine the position of the LM curve. The factors may be sometimes. Okay. So the next day we hope to discuss the IS curve and we done the equilibrium, right? Any questions? No questions. Right. So we'll stop at this level, right? Thank you very much.